Hello, welcome to your weekly astrology update. This is Carrie, Astro Breeze, and I want to share a couple cool things with you. One, this is just you've seen the animated page. I've gone over this with you, but I just wanted to tell you a couple of things. This is a cool program. It's called Solar Fire. And what I do is I get the transit chart and then I animate it. It has a great tool. I love this program, astrology program. I've used that. Just got this. Ooh, upgraded my version. I don't know, maybe 3 years ago or so. But I've also worked with Sirius, another astrology software, for a long time, and they were Kepler before that. Right, I worked with Kepler, so I've had astrology programs for a long time. I'm trying to remember when I got my first one. I have to go joggle the memory. I don't know. It's been a long time. Over 20 years, maybe? I'll have to go back in my mind and think about that. But I remember in the early 90s learning to hand calculate charts. Had to get certain tables like I can't even remember all that now. I need to go back and redo it. But I mean, it's just really just like a calculation. You get certain time, and then you have to correct the time for the tilt, the curvature of the Earth. You have to sync it up with just so many things I can't even tell you at the moment. But anyway, it's just mainly converting the time and space and location to get this chart that we're seeing. So and it's not hard. It's just kind of cumbersome. You got to do this step. It's just like, a big, algebra problem or something. You got to do this first, and then you do the second, you correct for this, and then you go look up in the tables of whatever, and then you add in this thing, and then you correct for that. You finally get the ascendant. And then once you get the ascendant, then you can look up the second house and third house. Then you can calculate the other ones, and then you put the planets in there. So it's just a process. Okay, that being said, when you have the astrology software to do different things, then you can work on different things as an astrologer or, in anything. But just telling you from an astrology point of view, because I don't know if I've ever talked about it. I think it's pretty fascinating. So then I got the software, so then I could calculate. Another video, I'll show you that. It's like go in and you can open there's so many tutorials, but I'll just run through it. But basically, you type in somebody's name. You say, open or calculate new chart. Type their name, date, birthday, time, place. And then if you don't know the time, I usually set it to like 1 minute, like 11:59 a.m. or 12 p.m., right? So that I know it's that way. And then you have a little thing that you can put, if your data is correct, is this from somebody's birth certificate? Did you see it? Did somebody tell you? So you have your source of where the data came from that you can always go back and look at. Okay. Then you can select, the house system. You want to do an equal house, whole sign, Placidus, any of the zillion other house systems, which I'm not going to get into right now, but it's just a way of having the horizon in the midheaven set. Again, just think about the curvature of the Earth. If you're on the equator, it's wider. If you had to go trek around the Earth and you just started one direction and went all the way around, it's going to be a lot more miles than if you were more north. Just circumference speaking. So there's, we have to change that angle. And it's also, looking from where you're at out on space, you're going to have a totally different view if you're standing at high latitudes in the north, looking at the sky, as opposed to, if you're like somewhere in Alaska, let's just say, so you're in the middle of Alaska or Yukon territory or something, and you're seeing the night sky from there, it's going to look totally different than if you're seeing a night sky from somewhere in New Zealand. You're not going to see certain stars in certain areas, in certain hemispheres. Okay, that being all said, I just want to give you this little viewpoint and just remind you that over here on the left side, which would be 9 o'clock, is rising. So planets come up over here and they rise and they go around. this goes here, and then they all set down here, and then they go down below, and then they do this again. Okay, that was one evolution of information. Now, and I'm going to show you in a minute, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we going on, and I'll give you this version. Now there's Astrology AI, and I've been playing with this, I don't know, maybe 8 months or so. And this is from David Palmer, the Leo King, and you can subscribe to it. But you have to know a little bit about astrology, I think. You can't blindly. So where I'm using it then would be to tell it, it's like, hey, what I did today, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. I said, hey, we have a Mars and Pluto conjunction, happening today. This is back yesterday, just so I know. I just want to tell you because this is before the fact. But anyway, I said, we have this conjunction, this happening today in Aquarius. Can you tell me what's up? Well, what's it bring up based on some history, world events, mundane astrology? And of course, it's going to bring that up. Now, that's going to save me a ton of time looking and seeing the flavor of past events. And it can sample that. So I can use the power of the AI to even hone in on more specific exact information. That's there's been so many great videos done by David Palmer, the Leo King, that he's gone back and looked at these situations, going back thousands of years. It's just crazy. Did some of these different meetings of planets, when they meet up together, they have a certain configuration, and how rare things are, and then what happened in time and space, what happened in our world during those same times. So now we're able to use astrology, and we have way better equipment to gather data. So now with something like this, you can go gather like all the times, say Mars conjuncted Pluto in Aquarius. Mars's orbit is like every 2 years it goes around. And it would conjunct Pluto about every 2 years, but it doesn't always conjunct it in Aquarius with, 3 other planets there as well. So we could add that in the mix, and look for times in the world where certain things happened. And that's, a ton of people are starting to do some of this, but it's fascinating. And I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But you can see here, this is yesterday, Mars is approaching Pluto, and you can see, now I'm going to just go ahead today. This was 4 p.m. And look, it's just right there. It's, within a few hours of crossing over here. So let me just go hours. And then you can see the sun is about ready to set. There it's at 3:32. It's like right about now. This is like 6 o'clock now. And there it is. It's past. Look at 3. And it's minutes if I were to zero in on that. But here at 6:04 p.m., January 27th, we have Mars-Pluto conjunction. And again, this happens, every 2 years. But right now, because we have such polarity and such interesting grouping of all these inner planets, we have this roving group of inner planets been going through these signs, right? They went through, they started to sync up in the late fall, and then they've been moving as a pack, right? We've had the sun, Mercury are always together, but they've been kind of traveling pretty close. Venus and Mars, are all kind of synced up. And then now when they got closer to Pluto, this is, Pluto's been sitting here. So as this group, the gang gets over here, it's over in Pluto's house now. So they've all been piling up. We talked about it last week, piling up in Pluto, to Pluto. So we can see they've all passed, but it still has that flavor. Now I want to show you a different share. And there's not a whole lot going on this week, so I want to just focus in on this. But these are huge. We've got some huge things happening. So I put this in. Can you comment on today's Mars conjunct Pluto and Aquarius energy for the world? And then it goes through a little bit of what it's going to do. I'm not going to bore you with all of it because it gives you a ton of data, right? So we're going to sift through this a little bit. So it goes number 1, organize. What is Mars conjunct Pluto and Aquarius all about? It says it's like a blowtorch hitting the circuitry of the collective. Gives you breakdown. Mars equals action, will, aggression, desire, conflict, courage, right? All Mars stuff, themes. Pluto themes, deep transformation, power, control, crisis, purging, rebirth. And the conjunction, right? That's where they fuse their energies together, amplify each other. They just egg each other on. And these are the two malefic planets. All right. So think about that. Now we're going to add one more layer. Aquarius is the future, it's technology, it's networks, it's social systems, it's reform, rebellion, and the people. So globally, this combo speaks to intense, decisive turning points around systems, technology, and collective power. Okay, it's going to go on. I'll read some of the highlights, but this is pretty cool. It can mark a trigger point in stories that have been building for a while, especially around Aquarian topics like AI, social media, networks, government versus the people, freedom versus control. All right, number 2, collective world level themes. Here's how this energy tends to show up on the world stage. All right, the theme: power struggles and systems, possible world expression, governments, corporations, or institutions flexing, clashing, or being exposed. We know that's going on. Okay, tech and data confrontations, battles around AI, surveillance, cybersecurity, digital rights, informed control, uprisings and protests, surges in activism, mass movements, or sudden collective pushback against authority. Now, isn't that the truth? Whoa, ho, ho. Oh, man. Lots of that going on. Structural shock and rupture, sudden events that reveal what's broken in our systems, radical reform pressure, intense demand for systemic reform, not just tweaks. Okay, this must transform or die. There's your Pluto expression. This kind of transit often coincides with events that feel fated or unavoidable, where something that's been simmering suddenly boils over. I think we can all see this. All right, the shadow side, what can be volatile now? On a global and social level, shadow looks like authoritarian tech, which is like highlighted attempts to use technology and data to dominate or control populations. Isn't that the truth? You know, I mean, how many people get banned off of one social network because they, you know, that the narrative, no, you can't say that. You know, we can't speak that. You know, even on, you know, YouTube monetizing and saying certain things, you can't do it. It's there, you know, whether you want to sugarcoat it or not. Polarization and mob energy, right? Online or offline. There's witch hunts, there's pylons, and extreme us versus them thinking. Then that also, this witch hunt thing, this also is Neptune and Saturn, or Saturn and Neptune conjunction in Aries coming up too. So there's that that's adding to this as well. The astrology podcast, Chris Brennan and his the other astrologer, they did a great Neptune and Saturn deep dive. I would recommend that, and they talk a lot about the different witch hunts in that one. Okay, violent or coercive tactics, power plays, threats, or actual conflict. Used as tools to force change. Crash of brittle systems. When something has been held together but not by denial or control, this transit can crack it open. There's Pluto, right? To me, Pluto in Mars, either it kind of in Aquarius, it reminds me of the Tower card in the tarot. You know, where we have, you know, kings or people that are in power, that are, you know, the elite control, that are not for the people, you know, the ones that are not helping the people are being ousted. In this, and, you know, we're still in massive confusion. We're going to still be in a lot of confusion, and I'm going to get to something with AI in just a minute. But anyway, higher expression, I'm going to move on. How this can move the world forward. It's also surgical, courageous, and visionary. Decisive reforms in broken systems, not cosmetic changes, but deep restructuring. I think we're seeing this right now. Tech used for empowerment, tools that decentralize power, protect privacy, amplify marginalized voices. Collective courage, people willing to take risks to stand up for what's right or future focused. And this is totally subjective. Let's put that there. Radical honesty about the future. Okay, so carry on. How this energy feels and works for individuals within the collective. Okay, I'm going to move on. It goes on, deep dive into a lot of this. Tells you what to do, what you don't do. This is good. Be careful with all or nothing ultimatums driven by momentary rage, right? We're seeing this. This is so crazy, how polarized it's getting. Power games, manipulation, revenge, or trying to win rather than transform. It's like, I'm not going to get into it. Okay, anyway, online conflict. Mars, Pluto, and Aquarius can inflame digital arguments. Step back rather than escalate. One line summary. Today's Mars conjunct Pluto and Aquarius is high voltage reset point for the world, accelerating showdowns around power, technology, and collective freedom, pushing us, sometimes uncomfortably, toward more honest and future aligned systems. All right. This is also very energizing. If you can ride with it and knock it like, to me, that theory of the pendulums, where if you grab onto a pendulum, you're just now going to be back and forth, playing the sides. If you can just navigate, and if you jump on a pendulum, jump off, diverge, don't just stay stuck on that. This is this polarity, because these are volatile energies, but you can use that and not get stuck in any one of those things, and have that creative power, to go deep within yourself, to use this technology. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's right at your fingertips. To really deep dive into your soul, investigate, clean out stuff, be creative, bring stuff out that you've been wanting to. This is time. It's energy, Mars, Pluto, deep. You can do it. And it depends on where it's at in your chart and what it's hitting, how it can do this for you. I asked also, how does the media exacerbate this aspect? Okay, now this is where it's kind of fun with playing with this, right? It says, okay, then it's telling you what it's going to do. It says, okay, clarify this theme, break it down, and this algorithms, blah, blah, show this, offer practical media hygiene. This is kind of cool how this is built. I love this app so far. Why this aspect loves media drama. Mars, Pluto, and Aquarius. Oh, wait, did I put that too? Okay, I do this next. Anyway, it's going to go into this weaponized information, Mars, Pluto, weaponized information. Oh, very good. Plus intensified group psychology. Mars, anger, attack, urgency, fight now. Pluto, manipulation, obsession, control, deep emotional hooks. Aquarius, networks, social platforms, collective narratives, tech systems. I mean, this is like, just combine any of these words and we can see what's in the news right now. Media is the perfect battlefield for this energy. Okay. Specific ways media exacerbates this. Sensationalized headlines, outrage, bait, us versus them framing. I think this is important that we see how this astrology is forming this frequency, but it's up to us how we react within it. Okay. So the effect on the collective, we get adrenaline, anger, constant fight or flight. So you can use this adrenaline differently. You don't have to get anger and involved in somebody else's fight. You can use it for creative flow of what you need to be bringing forth from within yourself. Okay, power struggles, focusing on clashes, scandals, and takedowns. Its effect on the collective normalizes dominance, humiliation, and revenge. This is this negative side. It doesn't have to go this way. Obsession, repeating the same shocking story all day, hooks people into doom, scrolling, can't look away. Anger is farmed as a resource. Ooh, that is great. That's pure Mars Pluto. Anger is farmed. Think about that. Stoked, right? It's like the kindles, the fire. It's being stoked. Is a resource. Anger. Wow. Okay. Here's some Pluto and Aquarius themes. The people versus elites. This is like simplistic narratives that inflame class or war, a class or tribe, war without nuance. Freedom versus control. Extreme fear about surveillance or extreme denial of real risks. Can go pie in the sky either way. You're totally fearful, like, or just like, nah. We go totally white pill, totally black pill. All right, systemic truth telling. Cherry pick facts to serve as a political or corporate agenda. Oh, yeah, right. That's huge. Okay, media can subtly steer what we fear and who we blame. Subtly, I mean, subtly is not the right word there. But yes, they do that, I think, all the time. But it's blatant. Anyway, which is textbook Pluto in the sign of networks and systems, right? This is great. Okay, algorithmic polarization. This is the Aquarius tech layer. Under this transit, algorithms act like unconscious Mars Pluto agents. Mars rewards hot takes, rages, and call outs, engagement spikes. Pluto rabbit holes. Once you click on it, you're pulled into more extreme feed. Aquarius, it's all happening through platforms for you, pages, and social networks. So the media environment exaggerates extremes, underrepresents moderates, creates echo chambers where each group feels more justified and more threatened, makes compromise look weak instead of wise. Okay, keeps going. Digital witch hunts, conspiracy amplification, dehumanization, trauma harvesting. All right. So we can go on. Mars, courageous journalism. This is the good parts. Okay, whistleblowing and real investigative work. That is good. I'm seeing that too. Pluto, exposing corruption. Oh, that's the best. This is, I think, the highest Pluto. Exposing corruption, abuse of power, and systemic rot. So see, it's not all, sometimes when astrologers or something paint these things as like scary and negative. And if I do that, I apologize. But there's a lot of ways to use, this energy, and it's just kind of reframing it constantly. And then if we add in here the Aquarius platforms for collective organizing, mutual aid, and shared resources. Okay, good. Catalyze reform by uncovering what was hidden. Empowered marginalized voices through independent platforms and long form nuanced work. There's a lot of people doing independent journalism now. I mean, that's exploding where we're getting, boots on the ground all around. People are showing things firsthand and not, it's circumventing a lot of this, the CGI and the fakes, the AI stuff, and how well, we can generate images. Really good. There's some awesome software out there that, it's starting to become mainstream now. Okay, last part of this. Okay, notice your nervous system. If you're feeling amped, enraged, or helpless while scrolling, that's a sign you're in a Mars Pluto territory. Use that as a cue. I'm being emotionally weaponized right now. Time to pause. Unfollow or mute, blah, blah. Okay, let's see. In one sentence, the media exacerbates today's Mars conjunct Pluto in Aquarius by turning information into a battlefield, stoking conflict, fear, and polarization through outrage and algorithmic amplification. Unless we deliberately choose more conscious, empowering ways to consume and share what we see. All right, then I ask, add in this week's Mercury conjunct Venus and this next full moon at 13 Leo. That's the other couple of things that we've got going on this week. Mercury conjunct Venus on Thursday, and then the full moon on Sunday, full moon in Leo. See, the full moon in Leo is going to be opposite all that, right? It's going to be 13. So, yeah, I'll show you in a minute. But anyway, let's just look at this. Okay, so it says, using the positions you gave me. So this is what I prefaced earlier in the video here, how this is a mix now, so that I can actually take, from hand calculations, and then slogging through history and keeping notes and researching things to being able to direct a tool like this. I asked it something very specific and are able to share that through today. So we've got this now. What's in this mix? We got Mars, Pluto, and Aquarius, and it says here, raw drive, conflict, courage, activism, deep power shifts, exposure, transformation. All right, now Mercury is here, which is going to conjunct Venus, thought, speech, media, information, messaging. So all of that's going to be activated. Values, relationships, money, aesthetics, harmonizing. Bingo. And then we got a full moon opposing this. So it's reflecting it. Emotional climax around identity, Leo, right? The heart, visibility. So all the Leo themes, it's going to activate that. They all, places. Look in your chart, even though you may not have anything in Leo, it is somewhere. If you don't have anything in it and it's in your 6th house, then you combine Leo in sixth house. Are you going to love where you work? Are you going to love to redo your health? Are you going to be empowered about your health at work? Whatever those themes are. Okay, so we have Mars conjunct Pluto, extreme catalytic power, infused change in the collective field. Then we have Mercury conjunct Venus in Aquarius, mind, heart, words, values, harmonizing through ideas and networks. This is great to do deep, communication, really pull it out. And then the full moon here at 13 Leo, emotional peaks around self-expression, authenticity, creativity, and being seen. Be seen, be bold, in a good way with your heart, not against something. I've always thought that was better. I can't remember who made a big deal of it. Probably many spiritual people of, having, it's better to be for something than against other things. So I really try to reframe things in that context as much as I can. So I think that's important in this time right now. Okay, so the sky is pushing a collective storyline about power in systems and the courage to be individual, unapologetically yourself within them. Mercury conjunct Venus, the social messaging layer. So this softens some of the harshness of the Mars Pluto and gives us some elegant, diplomatic, but edgy voice. So Mercury detached, being in Aquarius, it's detached thought, it's future focused ideas, it's group discourse. This is not real touchy feely personal. And then Venus, values relating in Aquarius, friendship, community bonds, shared ideals, social justice. In the conjunction, words that carry beauty, values expressed intellectually, right? Isn't that, I love it. Words, Mercury, that carry beauty, Venus, then values, Venus, expressed intellectually, Mercury. You just kept constantly combining these, when we're looking at aspects. And the conjunction is mushing together. If it were a square, it would be blink, bouncing off of each other. You can't blend it, It's like, so anyway, this is a nice one now. Should be, hopefully. New narratives around love and relationships, conversations around money and tech, diplomatic or PR moves. Not like this. In the middle of intense power struggles. While Mars and Pluto rips away what's fake. I love it. What's fake? Mercury and Venus tries to find better language, better agreements, and more humane values for the future. And the full moon at 13 Leo, heart versus the group. A Leo full moon opposite Aquarius and Aquarian planets, Sun, Mercury, Venus, and near the Mars Pluto by sign highlights Leo, okay, the heart, courage, creativity, children, joy, and the inner performer. Aquarius, group system, ideology, community, networks, the cause. And this full moon is the emotional showdown between Leo side of things. This is me. This is my heart, right? Versus this is us. This is the system. This is the movement. And then the personal expression side is personal creativity, play, romantic passion, and then cool logic, group discussions, group decisions, collective goals, tech media mediated life. That's the Aquarian side. So it's very interesting. On the Leo side, the validation. See me, love me, hear me roar. And then on the Aquarius side bounces, we need to be rational, dear, fair, and future oriented. So this is the axis, the axis of this full moon that we're coming into. And again, this is the Leo is, remember, that part of yourself or the chart or things that you have that is on stage, on show, from the heart, the goof, the creative source, where you are seen and the performance. Where in your life is that? And then the opposite is the group, the other side, that calm, cool, collective side. I thought this did it nice. Okay, people and the collective may hit a breaking point around not feeling seen or valued as unique individuals. See, that's the problem when things get into, we talked about this, into too Aquarian. They get too much the group, the mind hive, the hive mind. This is where it can easily, again, go into socialistic and communistic behavior, extreme Aquarius groupings. And we see this totally now. Totally. Okay. There can be dramatic performances in the public sphere. There's the Leo is the one here. Big statements, walkouts, declarations, or creative protests. That's all kind of Leo 9, and where the last one was more Aquarian. Okay, attention. How do I serve the future, the group, without sacrificing myself and my heart? Pluto Mars, high stakes, power shifts in the system, tech and collective structure. Mercury Venus, rewriting the story, new language, new agreements, new social values. See, with this turmoil, it's like this is the muck and the mire that the lily comes out of, and then the full moon is going to light it up. Emotional climax around personal authenticity versus the group expectations. This is good too. Media plus social platform, dramatize conflict and anesthetize it. Anger but branded. Virtue signaling and performance activism. That's big. I mean, it's going to be big. Leo moon craving applause and Aquarius planets pushing ideology. I think this is going to be big. We're going to see a ton of this on social media. Okay, and relationship and friendship blowups over politics, values, or how someone shows up in the community. Ooh, this is a hot one. Watch this here. Okay, the higher expression now. This is what we need to focus on. Brave, heartfelt art, speech, or performance. Leo, right? That's that stuff that actually helps rewire systems. Aquarius, writing songs about the new way, giving people new think about that. New, instead of bitching about what's wrong, it's like having, we got to write the script, got to rewire the social norms for people to go. Otherwise, you're just pissing and moaning, bitching, it's like venting. It's like, enough, I mean, you can vent a little bit, but it's like, okay, enough. I don't want to hear it. So it's that kind of stuff that's going to be coming on. Honest, loving conversations. Venus, Mercury, about where you felt erased or silenced or flattened into a role. Okay, so honest, loving from your heart. And then proactive, instead of just haranguing somebody. It's like, you wanted me here. It's like, all right, now what do you want me to do about it? This is how we move on. Using platforms and networks. Okay, Aquarius, the platforms, networks, to uplift authentic voices. Leo, not just amplify outage. That's nice. What else have we got here? Pause and ask, what do I really value? What is the loving future self? Okay. And you can see this is how this AI, I could work with it. I could, we can go on, but I'm not going to go all over it exactly. But you can see how it's tailored to a lot of this. All right, one sentence synthesis. This week, Mars, Pluto, Aquarius are forcing deep shifts in collective power structures, while Mercury conjunct Venus rewrites our social and relational narratives, and the coming full moon at 13 Leo brings a dramatic emotional climax around being truly seen and heard as a unique creative heart in the midst of all this systematic change. If you want, we can look at how well. Okay. All right. Anyway, that is cool. I just wanted to share that with you, and then let's get back over to the chart. Yeah, so there's just a little evolution of astrology software and tech that I've been on, the boat, again, from handwritten and using, text to look up, all that data, to early versions of software. I remember buying certain reports, and I still have them, and some of them, they've gotten better over the years. And I like to give people some of the reports. They're written okay. It's like gives you certain things to kind of go back and reference, and they're good references. It's like you give somebody here's your natal report, or your transits for the year, or a compatibility. So you got to get it, because sometimes you got to read a little bit, but then there's always so much. That's why it's good to study that. All right, move on, Carrie. I did a lot here. So today we got the conjunction. We can see it there, and then they're both marching towards the sun. Or I should say Pluto. I mean, it's slowly. Mars is marching toward the sun. And then here's this other conjunction on Wednesday. And then the Thursday, you can see it's going to pass over Venus, Mercury. There it goes. Look at that. They travel together for a couple days, Wednesday, Thursday, and then now it's going to start to separate. Okay, hopefully an astute astrologer can see what else is coming. Oh, we also had what's going to be later in the week. Or is it next week? Let's see. A couple other things coming up. This is it, I guess, for this week. February 3rd, as we come into next month, we have Uranus turning direct. You can see here it's pretty stationary here. So it's going to start going forward here at 27 Taurus. On the 13th, we'll have Saturn moving into Aries. You can see how close it is. It's 1.5 degrees from moving into Aries. So it's like 2 weeks from here, almost the end of the month. February 20th, the alignment we've been all waiting for. It will Saturn will move into Aries, and then it'll a couple days later conjunct Neptune, the starting point. One thing about that, I think it's really important time for all of us, for humanity, to kind of think, okay, if this is a starting point, how can we start writing the script of our life rather than just participating in it? Being focused more on that. I think, at least to me, what I've studied, in astrology, how this cycle, starts, it's that rewrite of rewriting from that depth of Neptune, that dream, that those things that we have inside that we want to bring forth. And, with Saturn, it's giving it structure. So it's basically that. So how do you want to structure your dream? And I think it's important because it is Aries. It's a beginning. We could start to think about that. So that's really big. And at the end of February, it's like a week later after that, then Mercury goes retrograde. So that'll be interesting. But let me just show you here. I'll just let you watch. Okay, so we can also see that everything is moving toward a alignment with the North Node, right? In Pisces, we can see that all of this group is going to just go glom over here. It will be, let's just look, let's just watch. So we can see here Mercury moves first. This goes into Pisces on the 7th, actually probably the 6th. Yeah, okay, anyway. So we're going to watch the pack now. Okay, there goes Venus. And Venus is good in here. Venus is exalted in Pisces. So we can look forward to, into February, some of this niceness of Venus loving to be here. And then she's going to go over the North Node. All going over the North Node. There it is. There. Venus over North Node, right when the moon comes over. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? Remember what we talked about, when certain events happen, is usually if the moon is a trigger or a timing. It's like, look at Venus just on the North Node, and here comes the moon. Don't forget about me here. Wait for me. Boom, moon's over that. I want to be in the mix, right there. Okay, so that's February before the alignment, and they're all getting closer. Look, see, because Saturn just moved into Aries, so we don't have that, but we've got 3. Then Mars. Let's see if Mars gets in there. There's Mars in there on March 2nd. Mars in there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I say, look, we got another group. So I said, this pack. It's this roving pack of inner planets, of personal planets, going through each sign. So I just want you to see this a little bit, what we got coming up. Okay, then they start moving into Aries, right? They've already gone. So now we got Chiron over there, and then we got Saturn, and we've got Neptune. So we're going to have this pile up in Aries coming up. I'll talk about it more as we get closer, but I just want you to see it. Let's see, where was the moon over here? Let me see. I'll get the moon in Aries. Okay, so here. Oh, yeah. Okay, so the moon is in Aries on March 20th. Then the moon will move out, and then see the sun just moved in, and then Mars will move in, and then watch that. Okay, so sun's in. Moon, of course, is going to go around. Let's see if Mars, we do this last time, did it come all the way around? See, here's Mars is almost there. There it is. There's Mars there. Okay, so we have Mars to Chiron in Aries, like from the 9th on, and then let's see when the moon comes in. Let's see, Mercury. Did Mercury come in before the sun goes out? There it is. Okay, there's the pileup. Moon joins mess. Look at Mercury joins it, jumps in. Moon goes in See here again, before Mercury ushers in, the moon just runs in. No, wait, me. Whoop, there I am. So moon jumps in here and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and counting the asteroid 7 bodies out here in Aries. We could expect some rock and roll Aries stuff in the spring here. We'll get more into this, but this is pretty intense. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 planets. Not very interesting. Okay, that's a lot for today. I hope you enjoyed the little trip down astrology lane and enjoyed the AI. You can see how something can get really sticky and thick, and there's a lot. I mean, it goes, oh, do you want this? Do you want that? What else do you want to know? So it's like, no, 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 enough, enough, enough. So we can see how the astrology, with the AI interface can be a lot. So we've kind of gone from a lot, made it simple, and now we're going back to a lot. All right, that's this week. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.